husband broke my ribs," I cried, but his mom laughed. "Don't call the cops. It'll ruin his life. My name is Chloe." And at 29, I found myself living a life that was a meticulously constructed lie. Our sleek, modern condo in a bustling Toronto neighborhood was a testament to success. A gleaming facade of glass and polished steel. From the outside, anyone would have envied my life with Ethan. He was charming, charismatic, a rising star in his finance firm, and undeniably handsome. We were the power couple, the envy of our social circle. We hosted elegant dinners, attended exclusive charity galas, and our social media feeds were curated masterpieces of effortless perfection. But behind those minimalist walls, our perfect life was nothing more than a gilded cage. And I, the architect of my own entrapment, I had put my own aspiring career as an architect on hold when Ethan proposed. He'd spun a beautiful dream of partnership, a shared future where my creative spirit would flourish alongside his ambition. He'd promised I could work on my passion projects, that my talents wouldn't be wasted. I'd believed him. I'd seen the way his mother, Barbara, adored him, a fierce, almost suffocating love that bordered on worship. Barbara was a force of nature herself, a matriarch who ruled her family with an iron fist disguised in velvet gloves. Every decision, every social engagement, every financial move revolved around Ethan's image and future. My input, once sought, slowly became irrelevant. Ethan knows best. Chloe, Barbara, would frequently chime in. Her voice, sweet as poison. The cracks in my perfect life began subtly, almost imperceptibly at first. Ethan's charming smiles would vanish behind closed doors, replaced by a cutting remark, a harsh glare that felt like a physical blow. His temper, initially dismissed as stress from work, escalated. Arguments became one-sided tirades, where my opinions were not just dismissed but ridiculed. "You don't understand how the real world works, Chloe," he'd sneer, his eyes blazing. "Stick to your pretty sketches." Then came the physical aggressions, disguised as accidents. A forceful shove during a heated discussion that sent me stumbling. A slammed door that purposefully caught my arm, leaving a faint bruise. I'd brushed them off, telling myself it was stress, that he didn't mean it, that love was sometimes rough around the edges. I was desperate to cling to the illusion I had built. Barbara, ever the doting mother, would just sigh. "Boys will be boys, Chloe. Ethan has a lot on his plate. He's under immense pressure to provide for us." The deepest wound, however, was the systematic invalidation of my pain. Whenever I tried to express how his words or actions hurt me, Ethan would gaslight me with chilling calm. "You're too sensitive, Chloe. It was just a joke. You're overreacting. Are you feeling well? Maybe you need to see someone about this anxiety." Barbara would reinforce this, her voice dripping with concern that felt like venom, her eyes cold as ice. "Don't make a mountain out of a molehill, dear. Ethan is under so much pressure. You wouldn't want to add to his worries, would you? You know how temperamental he can get when he's stressed." Their combined efforts slowly chipped away at my self-worth, making me question my own reality, my own sanity. The physical pain was bad, a sharp, acute reminder of his violence, but the emotional erasure was far more insidious, soul-crushing, leaving me feeling like a ghost in my own life. The night my ribs broke, it wasn't an accident, and there was no excuse. Ethan was furious. A lucrative deal he was courting had fallen through due to a client's last-minute withdrawal, a situation entirely out of his control. But he needed a target, a scapegoat for his frustrated ambition. I had simply suggested he take a breath, that maybe it wasn't the end of the world, that we could figure out a new strategy. My attempt at comfort ignited a fuse. His eyes, usually so warm and inviting in public, turned cold, predatory. He grabbed me, his fingers digging into my arm, yanking me forward. Then, with a sickening shove, he slammed me against the sleek, granite kitchen island. The impact was brutal, sharp. A searing pain shot through my side, a pain unlike anything I had ever known. A horrifying, unmistakable crack echoed in the silent modern space. I crumpled to the floor, gasping, the air knocked out of my lungs. A whimper escaping my lips. Just then, the front door opened, and Barbara walked in, keys jingling, a designer shopping bag clutched in her hand. She took one look at me, sprawled on the cold tiles, clutching my side, tears streaming down my face, my breath catching in ragged gasps. She took another look at Ethan, his face still contorted with rage, his chest heaving. And then, a small, chilling smile touched her lips. A smile of recognition, of understanding, not of horror or concern. She didn't rush to me. She didn't ask if I was okay. Instead, she walked past me, placing her shopping bag carefully on the counter, before turning to Ethan. "Ethan, darling, what have you done now?" she said, her tone almost playful, as if he'd merely spilled a drink. Then, she looked down at me, still gasping, tears blurring my vision. "Oh, Chloe," she sighed, a dismissive wave of her perfectly manicured hand. "Don't make such a scene. You're always so dramatic." I tried to whisper, "My RIB, I think it's broken." Barbara let out a small, almost imperceptible laugh, a cruel, tinkling sound. "Broken? Don't be ridiculous. It's probably just a bruise. You're being overly sensitive, as usual." Her voice then dropped, becoming a low, urgent hiss. "And don't even think about calling the cops. It'll ruin his life, Chloe. He has a promotion coming up, our family's reputation. Think about that. You wouldn't want to be responsible for destroying everything, would you?" Her words, delivered with a chilling casualness, cemented the bitter truth. I was nothing more than an inconvenience, a threat to their carefully constructed facade, a disposable part of their perfect picture. Ethan, now calm, just watched, a flicker of triumph in his eyes. He knew he had one. That night, alone in my pain, a cold, unwavering resolve settled over me. I was done being dismissed. I was done being broken. I was done being silenced. The first thing I did, despite the searing pain in my side, was download a secure encrypted app for journaling and photo storage. I started documenting everything. The precise details of the incident, the swelling, the bruising, the dates, the dismissive remarks, the exact words Barbara had used. I started covertly recording snippets of their conversations, their casual cruelty, their attempts to control my narrative. Every secret phone call, every condescending sigh, every accident became a piece of my undeniable truth. I backed up this data meticulously, creating multiple copies, hidden in encrypted cloud storage and on a small, disguised USB drive I kept at a friend's place. Next, I began to meticulously re-examine our finances. Ethan handled everything, always assuring me it was too complicated for me to bother with. He had managed my small inheritance from my parents, my savings from my premarital career, everything. I had trusted him implicitly. But now, with my architectural background, a mind trained for precision and detail, I began to see patterns, unexplained withdrawals, hidden offshore accounts, lavish spending not accounted for in our joint budget, a systematic draining of my personal funds that I couldn't explain. He wasn't just controlling our money, he was strategically controlling my escape. My last tangible link to my own family's legacy was a small, antique locket my grandmother, Lillian, had given me on my 18th birthday, containing a tiny, intricately rolled-up parchment. My grandmother, a fierce, quiet rebel of our family, had always possessed a razor-sharp legal mind and an uncanny ability to see through pretense. I had always thought it was a sentimental trinket. Now, a desperate intuition urged me to examine it under a magnifying glass. I carefully unrolled the parchment. It wasn't a poem or a letter. It was a cryptic reference to a private trust, a specific clause in her will that had been updated just before her death. It mentioned a substantial sum of money tied to a private trust designated only for me, accessible upon proof of significant marital distress or financial subjugation. My grandmother, a woman who had seen much of life's hidden struggles, had created an escape hatch for me, a way to regain my independence if I ever found myself trapped. A quiet, knowing smile touched my bruised lips. The game was about to change. I spent the next few weeks submerged in pain, secret planning, and intensive legal research, devouring every bit of information I could find on marital law, domestic abuse, and financial forensics. I secretly visited a different doctor for my ribs, ensuring all injuries were officially documented, attributing them to a vague fall that had occurred while rearranging furniture. I contacted a reputable legal aid clinic specializing in domestic abuse, cautious, anonymous, yet utterly determined. The senior lawyer, a kind no-nonsense woman named Sarah, listened patiently, her expression one of quiet, empathetic understanding that I hadn't received from Ethan or Barbara in years. When I revealed the locket, its hidden parchment, and my meticulously compiled evidence, Sarah's eyes widened. "Chloe, this is incredibly strong. Your grandmother was a genius. This could be your way out." She connected me with a private investigator too, traced the hidden accounts, and confirmed the extent of Ethan's financial manipulations. While I built my case, meticulously gathering every shred of evidence, Ethan and Barbara remained blissfully oblivious. Wrapped in their bubble of self-importance, Ethan was entirely focused on securing a massive promotion at his firm, one that would cement his elite status and fuel his increasingly extravagant lifestyle. Barbara was already planning the lavish celebration party, dreaming of the increased social cachet it would bring. Their social media feeds were curated masterpieces of their perfect life, strategically showcasing their unity, their wealth, their effortless charm. I watched them, silent, learning their patterns, observing their vulnerabilities. I learned about digital footprints, about metadata, about the subtle ways information could be leaked without leaving a trace back to me. Ethan had an extensive online portfolio showcasing his professional achievements, a public record of his impeccable image. I knew, however, of his secret, volatile chat groups with his friends, full of misogynistic jokes, crude boasts about handling me, and casual remarks about cutting corners at work. I couldn't directly expose his abuse without risking my own case, but I could, subtly, chip away at his image. I found a few old, innocuous photos from a deleted social media account of his photos from years ago, where his temper was subtly visible, a vein throbbing in his neck, a clenched fist around a glass. Nothing directly incriminating, but enough to hint at the underlying rage. I also knew he'd frequently exaggerate achievements and affiliations on his public profile to impress clients. One night, while Ethan was out at a boys' night, I carefully accessed his secure work portal, using a password I'd memorized from watching him. I didn't touch anything sensitive, but I located a confidential internal report he was working on, outlining some minor financial irregularities within his firm. Nothing illegal, but certainly something that would cause questions and unwanted scrutiny if it got out. Using my new skills, I anonymously and untraceably shared a cropped, ambiguous screenshot of this document to a prominent online financial ethics forum, posing as a concerned citizen who had found it mistakenly. I also anonymously sent the subtle angry photos and hints of his exaggerated achievements to a widely read online platform known for investigative journalism into perfect online personalities. I didn't accuse him of abuse. I simply presented information that contradicted his carefully crafted image. I knew the internet, with its insatiable appetite for exposing hypocrisy, would do the rest. The next morning, the air in the condo was thick with tension. Ethan was on his phone, his face pale, his usual composure completely gone. "Someone's trying to sabotage me," he hissed, throwing his phone onto the sleek, white marble counter. "Tips are coming in from anonymous sources about unprofessional conduct and questionable ethics. My boss just called, demanding a meeting. This is going to ruin my promotion. Everything." Barbara rushed to his side, her voice shrill with fury. "Who would dare do such a thing? It's outrageous." Ethan's eyes, filled with suspicion and paranoia, darted around the room, finally locking onto mine. I simply met his gaze, a quiet, knowing glint in my eyes, a barely perceptible curve of my lips. He said nothing, but the message was clear. His control was slipping. The facade began to crack. Whispers about Ethan intensified online, then migrated to his professional circles. His carefully cultivated image began to unravel. The promotion was indefinitely put on hold. Barbara, in a frenzy of panic, tried desperately to spin narratives, to control the damage, to shut down the online chatter. But the online world was a hydra, and for every lie they debunked, two more questions arose. Their social calendar, once packed, suddenly had gaping holes. Friends started subtly avoiding their calls, while their world spiraled into chaos. I quietly moved forward with my legal aid contact. Sarah, my lawyer, helped me file for divorce, armed with my meticulous evidence of abuse, the hidden clause, and grandmother Lillian's will, which revealed my independent wealth and the no documented financial irregularities Ethan had committed within our shared accounts, clearly showing he had been siphoning off my funds. The evidence was overwhelming, irrefutable, and damning. I chose the precise moment for confrontation, not in a private legal office, but during Barbara's annual charity gala, an event she meticulously planned to showcase the family's philanthropy and prestige. Ethan was expected to make a keynote speech, a moment designed to salvage his reputation. I arrived unannounced, my ribs still aching faintly, but my resolve unshaken, dressed simply but impeccably, a stark contrast to the glittering crowd. As Ethan approached the podium, his forced smile strained. I stepped forward, holding a slim, official-looking binder. Barbara, spotting me, gasped, her face draining of all color, her perfect posture crumbling. "Chloe, what are you doing here? You're not invited." I didn't answer her. I looked directly at Ethan, then at the stunned, murmuring crowd. Before Ethan gives his speech on financial integrity, I said, my voice clear and steady, cutting through the sudden silence in the opulent ballroom, "I believe there's a different kind of integrity we need to discuss. I didn't accuse him of abuse then and there. Instead, I calmly walked over to a journalist I recognized, a woman known for her fearless investigative reporting, who was standing near the front. I handed her the binder, open to a key page. "You'll find some interesting documents here," I said, my eyes locking with hers, a silent plea for truth, proofs of physical abuse, financial coercion, and the true nature of the man speaking tonight. Ethan froze at the podium, his eyes wide with terror and disbelief. Barbara, regaining her composure with chilling speed, rushed towards me, her hand outstretched, her face contorted in a silent scream of fury. "Don't you dare, Chloe! You'll ruin everything!" she hissed, trying desperately to snatch the binder from the journalist's hands. But the journalist was already flipping through it, her eyes widening in shock. A single photo, prominently displayed on the top page, showed my bruised side, with a medical report attached. Another showed a damning screenshot of a text message from Barbara, dismissing my pain with a laughing emoji. Then came the financial documents, the subtle diversions, the evidence of my grandmother's hidden legacy, the money Ethan had tried to hide. Ethan, seeing his meticulously crafted world crumble before his eyes, screamed and lunged at me. But this time, I was ready. This time, I had protection. A security guard, whom I had discreetly arranged through Sarah, stepped smoothly between us, restraining Ethan with practiced ease. The charming facade shattered, revealing the true monster underneath. The gala dissolved into utter chaos, the perfect image of the family exploding in front of their entire social circle, their carefully constructed empire collapsing in a single devastating moment. The divorce proceedings were brutal, prolonged, and emotionally draining, but I was prepared for every dirty trick. Ethan's lawyers tried every tactic in the book, questioning my sanity, my motives, fabricating stories about my alleged instability. Barbara tried to intervene, to pull strings, to use her waning influence, but the evidence was irrefutable. My detailed medical records, the time-stamped photos of my injuries, the voice recordings of their dismissals, and critically, the legal documents from my grandmother's will, which proved my rightful claim to a substantial, independent inheritance that Ethan and Barbara had systematically tried to conceal and deplete. The final ruling was a resounding victory, a testament to truth prevailing. The judge, presented with the overwhelming evidence, not only granted the divorce but awarded me a significant settlement. Acknowledging Ethan's abusive conduct and the financial coercion he had inflicted, Ethan's firm quietly let him go, his reputation in tatters, his career prospects vanished. Barbara's social standing plummeted, her carefully cultivated image dissolving into whispers of scandal and enabling. The luxury condo, once my gilded cage, was sold, its profits overwhelmingly in my favor. I walked out of that courthouse a truly free woman. The weight of years of invalidation, of feeling invisible, lifted, replaced by a profound sense of lightness and purpose. I bought a small, beautiful loft apartment in a vibrant part of the city, flooding it with light and vibrant colors, painting its walls myself. I opened my own architectural design studio, focusing on sustainable community projects, a dream I had abandoned years ago for a man who didn't deserve my sacrifice. My work thrived, driven by a newfound passion and purpose that radiated from my very core. I never looked back. Ethan tried to contact me once, a desperate plea for money, a pathetic attempt to blame me for his downfall. Barbara left a few scathing voicemails, accusing me of destroying their family, of being a heartless opportunist. I listened to them, then deleted them. Their words, once so potent, now held no power over me. They were just echoes of a past I had transcended. Months turned into years. My studio flourished, gaining recognition I never dreamed of. I found love again, a quiet, respectful partnership built on mutual trust, genuine admiration, and unwavering support. I started volunteering at a local women's shelter, sharing my story, not as a victim, but as a survivor, a testament to resilience, a beacon of hope for others. On the day my firm won its first major award, a prestigious architectural prize for a community housing project, I stood on the stage, the vibrant city lights twinkling outside the window, reflecting the glittering trophy in my hand. I didn't invite Ethan or Barbara. They were a part of a chapter that was decisively closed. Instead, I wore the locket, my grandmother's quiet legacy, feeling her strength and foresight within me. As I held the award, I thought of the countless times I was told I was too emotional, too sensitive, too much. I thought of the physical pain, the relentless gaslighting, the years of feeling invisible and insignificant. But looking out at the cheering crowd, at the people who genuinely saw my talent, respected my truth, and championed my voice, I knew one thing with absolute certainty. My identity was no longer defined by the broken ribs or the dismissive laughter. It was defined by the courage I found in breaking free, the clarity in reclaiming my story, and the unwavering conviction that, this time, I was the sole architect of my own life, building a future where my truth was undeniable and my freedom absolute.